to install a plug-and-play remote starter that activates from the OEM remote on our 2018 Nissan Altima. We're going to start by creating a gap between the bezel and the dash with our plastic tool. We have the bezel popped out on the top. Just going to pull on it, wiggle it a little bit, and release the bottom clips. We have the bezel off, and there's a little piece of material that connects the bezel to the top of the steering column so that when you tilt the wheel up and down, there's not a gap underneath here. So we're just going to hook our fingers up underneath and just lift up, and we're going to pull the clips out so we can remove the bezel completely. We're going to remove the cluster. We have 3 Phillips screws. We have the bezel removed, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the instrument cluster. If you notice, the cluster has some damage. This isn't from me, it's from the owner of the vehicle. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this cluster. We're going to come up from the bottom, and it's a little bit tricky to get out. I'm going to start this side. There's a couple plugs on the back. I'm going to go ahead and try to show you. There's a plug here and a plug on the opposite corner. We're just going to release the clip, and we're going to pull this plug out. This will give us a little bit of room to get the cluster out. And you can see the other plug on the other side. We'll go ahead and release that. I've seen some other videos where they actually had enough room to flop the cluster out and flop it over to the side. That isn't the case on this vehicle, so I don't know how that is, but it's a little bit tighter here, the cables, as you can see. You know, maybe I could flop it over and leave it hanging all over the dash, but I don't want to scratch anything or do any damage. Alright, so we have our BCM exposed now. This is the BCM to the vehicle. I want to remove all the plugs. There are 5 plugs on the BCM. 4 of the plugs have a regular release clip located in the middle. You can see it. The white plug here on the end has 2 clips on each end. So there's a clip on the top and a clip on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to release them. Sometimes it helps to have like a little small screwdriver or pick tool to release them. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with this black plug here. I'm going to go ahead, push the clip, and release the plugs. We'll do the other plug here. Then we're going to do the green plug. They can be a little bit stubborn. Just got to be patient and make sure you have the clip pressed in. If you don't have the clip all the way pressed in, it's not going to release. Plain and simple. So if it's not coming out, the clip's not pushed all the way in. So I'm going to release the white plug. Now the clips on the white plug are on each end. So I'm going to go on the bottom, and I'm going to push that clip in, and I'm going to squeeze the clip in at the top. And I'm going to remove the white plug. Now we have 2 harness groups of plugs. I'm going to move this one over to the side, and then we're going to keep these 2 over to this side. This way when we plug in our plugs, it doesn't become a tangled mess. Okay, so we're ready to plug in our plugs. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the white plug. So we're going to plug in the white plug, and we're going to be sure that it fully seats and locks. Okay, so the white plug is in. It's seated and locked. Now we're going to do the gray plug. Now we're going to do the smaller of the two black plugs. Now on the other side, we're going to do the larger black plug, and again we're making sure each plug locks in firmly. Now we're going to do the last plug, which is the green plug. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug our plugs into the plugs that we've just installed. Or we're going to plug the vehicle's plugs into our plugs, actually. So we had set these plugs over on the side to keep them out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the green plug. Now we're going to do the larger of the two black plugs. Now we're going to do the three on the other side. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the smaller black plug. Now we're going to do the gray plug. And we're going to do the white plug. Now all of our plugs are installed. We're ready to program our module, but we must replace the cluster. If we operate the vehicle without the instrument cluster in place, it will be a little bit freaky. When you push the start button, it won't respond. It doesn't like to have the cluster unplugged. And if you operate the vehicle with the cluster unplugged, you may get a check engine light. If you scan it, it'll come up a fuel level indicator low. So in order to avoid that, replace your cluster. If you have a scan tool and you're familiar with clearing codes, it's no big deal to clear the code if you wind up getting one. So we're going to go ahead and we just want to plug this in during this procedure so that we don't have any issues. So I'm just going to temporarily plug it in, and we're going to just leave it here in front of our work area. Okay, so our cluster is plugged in right now. I'm just going to go over the Evo plugs. This is the 4-pin power or data plug. This is a 20-pin plug. There's a red connector and a white connector. We're going to start by locating the program button on our device. We're going to press and hold the program button down while we insert the 4-pin data or power plug. When we do this, lights on the front are going to turn on and begin to cycle. If we keep the button down, the lights will continue to cycle. What we want to do is we want to let up on this button as soon as we see the blue light come on. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hold it, I'm going to plug in the 4-pin. Blue light comes on, I release the button. If I fail to release the button, the lights will continue to scroll. I'll show you. If you make a mistake, you can unplug it and redo it. So I'm going to hold the button down. I'm going to plug in the 4-pin. The lights are going to begin to cycle. I didn't release on blue and I didn't release the button, so the lights will keep cycling as long as the button's held down. I wait till we have solid blue and release the button. We'll do it one more time. We're going to release on the first time we see the blue light. Okay, we release the button. Now, without touching the button again, we want to plug in the 20-pin. Now we're going to plug in the red plug and the white plug. So we'll do the white first. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in the red plug. So if you notice, the blue light has stayed lit. Okay, with a solid blue light and one key fob in the vehicle, we're going to press the push to start button 2 times. We're not going to hold the brake, we're just going to press the push to start button twice. Once, twice. The blue light will go off, it'll come back on and flash rapidly. At this point, we're going to push the push to start button 1 time to turn off the ignition. Blue light will turn off and the red and the yellow light will alternate. We'll now disconnect the Evo and bring it to the computer to run the Flashlink manager. So we're going to unplug the 20 pin, we're going to unplug the red plug, and we're going to unplug the white plug. Then we're going to unplug the 4-pin data plug. If you've received either the Flashlink 4 programmer or the Flashlink Lite programmer, then your application will require the decryptor process to complete vehicle programming. The programmer connects to the computer with a USB cable, and then we have another cable that will connect to the device when we're ready to program or flash the device. Same thing applies to the Flashlink Lite. The Flashlink Lite is a miniaturized device that will perform limited flash functions on your module. Again, it has a USB cable that plugs into the computer, and then a cable that goes between the programmer and the module. To obtain the Flashlink Manager program, we're going to go to Fortin's website. We're going to go to www.ifar.ca. We're going to select the Software tab. We're going to click the Download link. Going to click the Download Now link, agree to the end user license, and we will open the setup. We're going to allow the app to make changes. I already have the program installed. You will continue on from this point and follow all of the prompts until the installation is complete. After completing the installation, if you choose to, you will have an icon on your desktop. Click on the icon or locate the program manually. Upon opening the program, you're going to come to a login screen. You will not be able to log in because you must set up a free account with Fortin before you can use the Flashlink Manager. Select Create an Account. You will fill out the form. This is the Create Account screen. A couple things that people were having issues with on this form is the business name. Right here where it says business name. You can put any business name in here, but it is a required field. It will also ask you for a website. You can put any website in here, but it is a required field. So if you don't have anything in this entry, you cannot submit the form. So just put any business name, any website you'd like. If you have a website, great, put yours in there. If you don't have a website or a business name, you can use anything you want. You can use Warmcar Now, and you can use the Warmcar website, www.warmcarnow.com. Click Save and continue on with the installation. After submitting the form, you will receive a confirmation email from Fortin. You must respond to this email. If you do not respond to the email, you will not be able to log into the program. When logging into the program for the first time, we want to select the proper mode. The program's default is what's called Wizard mode. We need to get out of Wizard mode immediately and switch to Pro mode. In the upper right hand corner, there's a settings gear cog. We're going to click the settings gear cog. At this screen you will have some settings for the zoom level, single click or double click, and language. What we want to do is we want to click Go to Pro Mode. We're going to click Continue to Pro Mode. This will make the screen match my videos. I don't do any programming in Wizard mode. Everything I do is in Pro mode. So this will bring you to the screen that you can follow in the video. Once the account is set up, you will be able to open up the Flashlink Manager. If you don't have your programmer plugged in, which I'll unplug mine, it's going to show this screen that the PC is unable to detect the Flashlink updater. When you plug in the updater, which, by the way, looks like this, the screen will change. So this should happen in a second here. Screen will change. Now it's telling me that it cannot detect a module because I don't have a module plugged in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug my module in. When I do this, the program will detect that the module is plugged in. I'm going to set the module down. You'll see a screen, and you'll see that I've preloaded it for an Altima. I'll either use a 2018, 2019, whatever year is up there is kind of irrelevant because it will point to the same firmware. So if it's a 13 Altima and you have 18 up here, it's not going to matter because it's still going to use 72.37 as the firmware. So now I've already done the initial programming of the device. We're going to click the decryptor tab. We're going to have a screen that says transfer key data. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click send data. So the program is going to start working. Now we'll have a screen here. Make sure this box is checked. Automatically update Evo all when ready. So we're just going to wait. It can take a couple of minutes. Just have to be patient, let the program run. If you did not do the first part correctly or didn't obtain the data that it needed to see in the first half of programming, it will not complete programming. Keep in mind, do not do this process over and over. If you do this process more than 4 times, it will lock you out. If you have problems, you call the number on the module. I will be happy to help you. It's best that you text for a callback. I may ask you what the year, make, and model of the vehicle is and your first and last name so I can look up your order, and I will assist you if you're having problems. So the decryptor process has completed. The module is being loaded with the key codes that it needs in order for the remote starter to work. So just going to wait till it loads. It's going to give us a screen that's going to indicate that the process is complete. So we are completing the decryptor process now. Just going to wait till everything's done. Now, the screen says decryptor has finished processing the data. The module has been updated and is ready for use. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to unplug our module and we're going to go back to the vehicle, plug it in, and have a remote starter. Back in the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in our 20 pin. We're going to plug in our 4-pin data plug. We're going to plug in our red plug. And we're going to plug in our white plug. We're ready to test our remote starter. I'm going to trigger remote starting by locking the doors 3 times. The system uses the hazard lights instead of the parking lights to give you a visual indication that the vehicle is running. I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock the doors 3 times. Lock, lock, lock. Your hazards are going to flash, indicating the vehicle's received a signal. Car's going to start, the lights are going to flash for a few more seconds, indicating the vehicle's running. Now, every few seconds, the parking lights are going to flash, giving you a visual indication, or actually the hazard lights are going to flash, giving you a visual indication that the vehicle is running. The lights will pulse throughout the run cycle. When the vehicle turns off, the lights will stop pulsing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it off. Lock, lock, lock. There we go. The vehicle is now off. Okay, we're going to install the Mycar smartphone controller if you want to take the system to the next level and have telematic smartphone control. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to locate the blue plug on our device, and we're going to plug the Mycar plug into the blue plug. We have to use the Mycar adapter labeled HRN-LLRS01. So this performs a RX-TX swap that is needed to communicate with the Evo. So when we plug it in, it's going to start searching for cellular and GPS signals. This is indicated by the flashing lights. Green is for cellular, red is for GPS. So when it has a cellular lock, the light will go steady. When it has a GPS lock, the red light will go steady. So we're just going to set it up on the dash. Now, it says on one side stamped in, it says this side down. So we're going to set it up on the dash with this side down, as indicated on the device. We're going to go ahead, we're going to let it acquire a signal. Okay, we have our Mycar unit plugged in. It's acquired a signal. We're going to go ahead and we're going to introduce the Mycar to the Evo All. Okay, we have our app up and running. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lock the doors. And we'll get a light flash confirmation. And our doors are locked. Now we're going to unlock our doors. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lock the doors. You want to make sure the doors are locked before you start the vehicle. It's not going to successfully start with the door unlocked for security reasons. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trigger remote start. Engine is up and running, and I have just a real short runtime programmed in. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to shut the vehicle off.